Hi guys, a lot of you fellas don't know much about the Crusades except what you've been taught by fake news media. Yes, the old fake news, CNN, BBC. The first Crusaders, if you could call them that, were certainly Charles Martel, who chased the Islamic hordes, the barbarians, out of southern France. Yeah, southern France, you heard that correctly. This is how far they got. They occupied Spain for 400 years, raping all the nuns, stealing all the Catholic gold, taking thousands, hundreds of thousands of sex slaves, which, as we know, their 7th century prophet really liked a bit of the old sex slavery. Oh yes, nothing he liked more than having power over crying, terrified children. Sad, isn't it? Well, in keeping with this outfit and sword marked with the cross, I'm going to tell you a few quick truths. Keep it brief. You guys are too busy to look at history, I know. The whole Middle East, we're talking from the north, in the Turkish area, right down through Lebanon, through now Palestine, Israel, Egypt, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Tunisia, Algeria, were all Christian. Yes, they were all Christian before Monster Mo reared his very ugly, lying, deceitful and pretty disgusting head. Yes, Monster Mo from the 7th century was a disgusting individual. He wasn't no gentle person. He wasn't no ideal role model to all men. That's what they called him in their holy book. This guy that slit people's throats in their holy book, he slit people's throats and kicked them into trenches, kicked them into pre-dug trenches, Gestapo style. Yes, where do you think Gestapo and Adolf Hitler got the idea for the death camps, got the idea for Blitzkrieg? It was off old Monster Mo, because this is how he made his victories. He was attacking civilian, largely undefended civilian villages. Just where he was in the Arabian Peninsula, there were Jewish villages, so happened. So they got it first. Oh yes, at the first village, it states quite clearly in their unholy writings, he massacred between 600 and 900 older boys and men, but it could have been more, it says. And it took from early morning, just after dawn, till well into the night. That's how many people they cut the throats or beheaded and threw them into trenches. So is it really any wonder that ISIS, behead our men, our, as they call them, dirty kuffar? Yes, these dirty animals that don't follow the divinity of that big A in the sky who 7th century Monster Mo invented. Yes, he really did invent them. All of them, the visions, the dreams, the delusions, call them what you will. So in the Christian heritage and the Templar heritage of protecting the innocent, fighting for the fatherless, speak up for the fatherless and the destitute. This is what it says in the Bible in numerous places, in Luke and numerous places. You guys won't even know. I didn't know till a few years ago. And it all confirms what my long lost father, rest his soul, told me when I was about 11 or 12. Yeah, so the whole Middle East was Christian with a small Jewish element till Monster Mo came robbing their gold, robbing their houses, robbing their towns, robbing their children to sell to old perverts just like Monster Mo. Yes, I won't mention his full name, but you know who I mean, don't you? Yes. And of course we know in their unholy writings that our women and girls, females, are just, quote, whores, prostitutes, filth, and Monster Mo still states in their book, in their unholy book and literature and whole ideology, that they may take them, rape them, kill them. They are, to quote Monster Mo, they are just war booty. This is what he told his people back in the 627 AD. This is what he told his people. that they could do what they wanted with all these kids and women. In fact, we know old Monster Mo wasn't the sharpest tool in the box. How do we know this in their holy writings? Because you'd hardly credit that this was true, but it is in their book. Yes, after wiping out numerous Jewish and Christian villages in his area, after taking, must have been hundreds and a few thousand women and poor crying little kids who hadn't harmed anyone, who hadn't done anything, who often had seen their fathers beheaded. Yes, all these villages, he'd taken their kids and sold them to old paedophiles, just like Monster Mo. Isn't that disgraceful? And it still says in their unholy writings they can do this. Hence the huge problem we have all over Europe with sex slavery. Well, it's not sex slavery. In the UK we call it grooming. Grooming. What the hell has grooming gangs? What the hell have these gangs got to do with personal hygiene or trimming your beard? Absolutely nothing. It's just a stupid PC word to cover the fact that 90% of gang paedophiles in the UK, and I can put a link underneath, it's no problem, 90% of convicted gang paedophiles in the UK by surname are linked to one ideology. Yeah, you know all those Ahmeds, all those Mo's, yeah, all their names, 90%, it's 91 actually, 90% of the guys jailed in the UK for doing some disgusting things to young girls. I'm talking from 10 years to 16 years. Typically 12, 13, 14 is what they like, because the jail time's less, you have to catch them. And of course, as you can imagine, when they're faced with, it can be anything from 10 years to life in jail, minus parole, when they realise that the girl might have gone to the police, you can realise what can happen to these girls, as happened to Charlene Downs, D-O-W-N-E-S. Yes, apparently, we believe, at 14 years of age, she was being sexually abused by one or many rich businessmen in Blackpool, in Lancashire. It's on the left side of the map, not halfway up. If you get American guys want to look, Blackpool, old Victorian seaside resort, tourist resort, showing its age now, but quite quaint in some ways, in old fashion. Yeah, there's at least 2 girls that Lancashire police believe were murdered to avoid these rich property owning guys who had been raping her going to jail. They believed they killed a girl, and not, you'd hardly credit this, it sounds like something from a Stephen King novel, but it's not. The police had them on a bug saying they butchered her body, a 14-year-old petite girl's body, and they put this body through a mincer, disposed of the bones, and they supplied this meat. They sold this meat to Blackpool customers. So if you were knocking around Blackpool 12, 14 years ago and you had a kebab from Laurel and Hardy's kebab shop, you probably are a cannibal, although you don't know it. So, in the truth of the Templars and the truth of the Bible, I want to tell you that the whole Middle East was Christian before this illiterate, violent, inbred tribe decided to storm them. Usually they'd storm them early morning or before nightfall to catch them unawares. They would chop off all the men's heads, all the older boys' heads. All the boys that had pubic hair got butchered, and if they didn't have pubic hair, their fate really wasn't much better, because they got sold to old perverts like Monster Mo to bum. And we do know from reliable information that even from like Sir Livingston in the 1800s, late 1800s, Dr. Livingston, I presume. Livingston was a Scottish man who documented the human slave trade in Africa, and he confirmed then, in I think it was the 1880s, that it was all Arabs and muzzy Africans running things, even then in the 1870s, 1880s. And with this information and knowing about the terrible human suffering and the mass castration that these boys and men often went through, most of them were castrated, you know, their sausage and nuts were taken off with a knife. Is it any wonder that the young 18, 20-year-old Queen Victoria and her new Christian husband, Prince Albert from Germany, from Austria, is it any wonder they set the Royal Navy to work to stamp it out? Stamp it out they did. And with help from some of you guys in America and a lot of opposition, as you can imagine, any of you American guys involved and all of our Brits should be deeply proud that Queen Victoria, the British Navy, very largely, excepting a few places in Africa now, stamped out the human slave trade. So keep the faith, speak up for our girls. When Britain First and Paul Golding and Paul and Lee and the rest of the guys are telling you about these paedophile gangs, they're telling you the God's honest truth. I've got the list, 265 pages. I think it's a couple more been added recently of convicts that have gone to jail, found guilty with DNA and everything, and 90% are non-white European. You see the odd Polish name, the odd English name, you know, Archer, Bond, whatever, Golding. You see the odd little name there. 9 out of 10 on every damn page are non-European, Islamic-based surnames. So see you guys. I will no doubt be at the next rally soon. Yeah, I've received a few threats about it. Well, I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap, to be honest, because, you know, I'm a family man. And what my forefathers did for me and my kids, one of them even died in the First World War. You think you're going to frighten me by putting silly faces on with little smiles? You do one. You do one. You know, have a go if you think you're hard enough. That's what I say. Have a go if you think you're hard enough, because I'll take you on. I will take you on if I have to. Okay, see you guys. Bye bye.